welcome back to Nuhlikkletwang. And today we're on, I think, our fourth episode. Forgive me if I've lost track. We've kind of taken a break for a while, and because of that, boy does thing and forget the episode numbers. But we're here now. It is June, and June is in North America is indicative of Pride Month, and we're going to have a discussion that doesn't necessarily have to do with Pride, but it's a topic that seems to show up every June. So we're gonna get into that in a bit. Before doing that, we have a guest. We have Mr. Dane Record. Dane, go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us why you're here today.
Sure. So my name is Dane Record. My pronouns he, him, his, and I'm a community worker. I'm a parent. I'm a caregiver, and more specifically, I do HIV related sexual health in in many parts of the province of Ontario.
Okay, okay. Very good, very good. So now that you know what we're kind of going to be discussing today, as usual, it wouldn't be North Twang if we didn't have an icebreaker with Dane. So, Dane, the question is Jamaican Canadian history, and and I just need you to give me the name of this ethnic enclave, according to Wikipedia, which spans Allen Road, sorry, to Keel Street, along the Eglinton West Strip. What is the name of that community?
Hmm.
So, Eglinton West
That
from
it's
Allen
been a
Road.
while. Kind of locked up in the house for over a year, and I don't think they gentrified Little Jamaica yet.
That's very good. That's very good. I only had one question for you. I was as very sure you were gonna get that question right. Okay, guys, there you have it. Our guest got his first and only question right. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back, and today we're here with Dane Record. I think he said his pronouns are he, his, him. I think I'm saying that properly. Um, so Dane, you introduced yourself with your pronouns, and today's discussion is on sexual health, everything sexual health, including STIs, STDs, conversations that we don't have specifically with our loved ones, and we're gonna wrap that up with HIV and AIDS. So my first question is, what is sexual health?
Sexual health, sexual and reproductive health, if you will. Really, it's just talking about taking care of the bits and pieces that, whether it be makes us feel good or helps us to reproduce,
Right.
and just keeps us in some good shape. Sexual health and healthy sexual health is not just about the if you want to say from the torso area, if you will.
Hmm.
We're talking the whole body. So mental and emotional health is is a part of sexual health. Physical health, big part of sexual health. And spiritual health actually is something that we won't have the time to talk about it at this time, but
Hmm.
it's certainly a big deal when it comes to addressing one's sexual health, particularly as an individual or as a community, and in monogamous relationships at the very least.
I love that. I love that you brought up spiritual health, mental health, because we don't think of those things when we think broadly at sexual health, which which is why I wanted to know, why is it that we do not discuss sexual health within the community. I know growing up in Jamaica, I had the Trinidad girl. I had the Galina Bongo kind of, narrative that was created for me through dancehall. And we don't until Bounty, it wasn't Bounty Killer, forgive me. Buju Banton did a song about Little Boy Don't Be Silly. We didn't really care about sexual health. In fact, you know, most older generation people didn't know what a condom was, or how to protect themselves against any form of STD, STI, or how to take care of themselves when they were, I guess, mature enough to have sex. So why is it that we haven't had these conversations within our communities?
I think it's less about um, whether or not we're having the conversations
Hmm.
in our homes, because certainly the conversations are happening in our respective households, and happening from birth from early, where we're talking just, people who look like us, make sure you wash your crotches, wash your boom boom, like, make sure things are in good shape and in good
Right.
order. But as we get older, and that narrative continues. Make sure you wash up and keep your body wash up, hair clean, brush everything. And as we're getting older, and we have these narratives in our houses, we need to broaden them to have even deeper conversations in our communities,
Right.
to really put out there, and then connect. Why do we not only for just general cleanliness, but also just for that sexual purpose, that sexual attraction. Because if it's where and you're referring to some old tunes, like, no dirty gal, like, you don't want to have someone come up to you and then you get turned off because, you know, things don't seem so well.
Mm.
But if we were to have broader conversations, and have deeper conversation as to why why sexual health matters, why, just just even positive bodies, having better conversations about body positivity, and not just about, size and thing, but also the smells. Sometimes people could be in just come fresh out the shower, just brush teeth, everything good, but still are gonna let off a bit of scent. And
Hmm.
understanding that it's not about, I'm frowsy. It's like, actually, maybe they're attracted, and maybe they're aroused to what's happening around them. And if we're able to have those types of conversations, those deeper bits of conversations in a much larger scale. So if we want to use like popular culture, popular discussion, and bring in
Hmm.
those deeper bits that we were talking about from early, we would be in a much better place, in a much better place, um, as a broader community, talking about our own sexual health. And when I say better place, like, just in the work that I do, where we're talking about, what are the communities that we got to focus most on. Like that, I'm sure we'll talk about that afterward. But if we're having those deeper discussions, we can then address, and eventually come to a place where just sexual health is holistic, whole body health, and the entire community is able to thrive and grow and take care of each other
Hmm.
in our own areas, without stigma, without judgment.
Okay. Okay. I like that. Now, you know the listeners, the viewers may not know this, but prior to each episode we do have a pre-interview process. And I remember speaking to you about how you came in or came to be in this particular profession. And it was a very interesting story. So my mom taught me about, I want to say she about what a condom was at 3. And since then, she never gave me the talk after that. I guess she assumed that I was smart enough to figure it out. There were books. My grandmother would never have that conversation with me. But what was it like for you? And was that the reason why? Because I know I was still in Jamaica, and people weren't having those conversations, but you were born here. So what was that particular conversation like, and is that what led you to be the person, or be in the profession that you're in right now?
Sure. So when look for myself, it was a little different in that my many parts of my family were very much open and willing to talk about pretty much anything and everything. So even from, I'm gonna age myself here. So getting caught watching channel 36 and trying to get the little squiggle screen off the pay TV and saying, hey,
Wow.
can we watch this after hours? No, but we can have a conversation about it. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. I don't want to watch it with you though. I just wanted to see if I can watch it by myself. Or or listening to the conversations and the banter in the hallways and in the elevators, or even just in the neighborhoods, this schoolyard talk, and then bringing it home, bringing bits of it home, because some bits might catch a clap over the head. But we were having these conversations from early, like 5, 6 years old, and just leading up. Um, we in our family, we were really open about um, talking about sexuality, sexual health. Um, Not necessarily talking about the nitty gritties, but like I know where I came from, and how it all got down, and I knew how that worked when I was 6, 7 years old, and from that experience, and then just
Hmm.
growing up and coming in um, through my own interests, I got to this work remembering that we were having these frank and open conversations at a very early age, and I was having them with people that I never would talk to at that level at this time. Like talking with my grandparents, my great grandparents, aunts, uncles
Wow.
from you know third and fourth removed or what have you. But like being able to have those real frank and honest conversations then has helped
Right.
to do what I'm doing now, and speaking to anyone and everyone also doesn't hurt that it was an opportunity to do work where I can talk about sex all day and cuss whenever I want.
That part is funny. So when I met you sometime last year, I think you specialized in Black Caribbean and African, I think as it pertains to HIV and AIDS and stuff like that, and educating the community. Now my question is, does the community need that level of education? I mean, from what I grew up knowing, and this is no cap, this is no lie. Um, there was this narrative that discussing HIV and AIDS was so taboo. If you weren't a member of the LGBTQI squared, I'm not sure if I missed a letter community, it wasn't something that people were concerned about. Um, even watching movies like Precious, the conversation was when she came home and she told her mom about the situation. She said, I can't have that because we didn't do it in the bomb. And I found that interesting because there was this narrative or some misinformation within the community about, HIV and AIDS. But I didn't know we were still there, that we had to have people who are, going around educating the community about HIV and AIDS. So is there a need for that?
It's a great question, and the short answer is yes. There still is that need, um, particularly in like here where I am in Ontario with using a large scale.
Mm-hmm.
There is a greater need because folks are spreading out. When it was early, speaking in Toronto, speaking from Toronto, where it's, touchdown Pearson, and then you're either going to Shoreham, going up the street, up Jane,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or going to Brampton. Now we have now we have people who are able to spread out into various areas, other places in the province. People coming with varying and various bits of their own history, um, their own, like, their own way of coming up. We have folks that like HIV is just a regular everyday occurrence of their life, of their conversation.
Interesting.
And then we have others that, you know still shying away when we're talking about our penises and vaginas. Like when we're still having folks that are, using the word vagina and then following it up with a
Really, in 2025.
yes. Yeah, but that is why we still need to have these conversations and still need to have health promotion happening in our communities. I didn't even go deep into that question with the response, but really, when it comes down to it, it is like, we as people being able to speak as people right across the province, certainly in our respective neighborhoods and our pockets. The conversations are going to vary depending on where we live, what's the dominant language in our community, and also what's the culture in our community. So it may not be um, the typical Sunday church, and then, lunch, and then we have, Sunday dinner. It may well be, you know quick shifts, and
Right.
let me tell you just the quick notes that are going on. Make sure you go check your doctor. You have that appointment for here, and then, could be younger person saying, I have to go check my friend. I actually want to go to a clinic because I want to look about my own body, my own health. And so being able to continue to have that health promotion happening in varying areas and directing people to services. So being able to direct people to health centers, community health clinics, Black led community health centers, and aid service organizations, other community health organizations. This is why health promotion is still very important and still necessary in our communities.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that answer. Um, so before this episode, I spoke to a lot of women, specifically women of color, and the question was, you went to the club, you meet a guy, and for whatever reason, you guys had sex. What is the plan of action the next day? And for many women, if it's unprotected, they've said that they will go get a plan B, and that's it, right? We don't talk about anything other than plan B. Well, I find within like the circles that I may associate myself with, it's more of a plan B thing, or I'm on birth control. I know this guy. He's cool. There's no need for condoms, and I feel like that is kind of the narrative that we've been taught for so long. That once the person looks okay, they have a good job, or they're from a good family, there's absolutely no way that this person is going to have an STD or an STI. Do you see that happening in your conversations where people are saying, "Yeah, why do I need to get tested? Like, I'm in a somewhat monogamous relationship, or the people I mess with, I know them, I know them closely, or we've known each other for years." Is that a conversation that you've had to have with people?
I have, and I'm going to take this opportunity. This is a shirt that I got during Pride March. 2018, I think it was, marching
Mm-hmm.
with the Black Coalition for AIDS Prevention of Metro Toronto. And we wear these shirts when we march and when we're in our communities, because we want to continue to let people know that with the many things that are going on in our days and our lives, still make some time to take care of ourselves. So if we're talking, if we're asking that question about, well, why should I go test if I know that my sexual partner is cool, or even my monogamous long term, um, even in a marriage, my partner is cool, it's just us, we've never had that issue. So the question I ask is, okay, if you've never had that issue, have you ever gone and tested? No. It's like, okay, well, would you like to? There's there's no shame and there's no issue in going to test for HIV, testing for other sexually transmitted bloodborne infections or STIs. There's no there should be no there shouldn't be any shame in going to test for for anything to do with the body just feeling good. And when we're talking about our sexual health, sexual and reproductive health, um, we should be able and willing to look out for ourselves when we need to look out for ourselves. To the piece about talking to folks about Plan B, or the morning after pill, if you will, is there one line of defense? Well, here's what I often am faced with in doing the work when I have these conversations. When it comes to Plan B or preventing a pregnancy, okay, Plan B is there. That's great. Are we testing for sexually transmitted infections? Okay, our partner is cool, and we had sex one time, or we get together every now and then, but it's cool because it's always the two of us together. Well, when you're not together, do you know what they're going on with? Do they know what you're going on with? Do you all know your own respective sexual history? Have you all tested for STIs, whether on your own or together, before? And when I go
Mm-hmm.
to talking about the mental and emotional health, what if down the line one or both, or others, depending on how you get down, you all decide to test and then find out something's going on with the body, and I got to alter the way I choose my sex. Then what? Then what are we really saying to ourselves, and what are we saying to our respective partners? Because we can't go and then suddenly blame if we have the resources available to take care of our own selves. There's a
Interesting.
lot, yeah, like there's a fair bit of technology out there nowadays, like Plan B, as you mentioned. PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis, is made available for people who are HIV negative, who may be involved in a sexual relationship with somebody who is HIV positive, or maybe in sexual situations where whether having condoms available may not always be the case, and you don't know their status. PrEP is available to prevent HIV. It still doesn't prevent other sexually transmitted infections, though. So then, being able to test, being able to access um, condoms, whether insertive or non-insertive, quick education piece. So as opposed to the Plan B, which when we're talking whole health, doesn't work for everybody the same way. Doesn't work for cis women the same way um, for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But insertive condoms work really well when it comes to maybe a night out and you're ready to get down, and you don't know if you're going to be using condoms or other barriers, but you know you want to get down. Um, inserting an insert of Putting an insert of condom in up to 5 hours prior to your sexual activity, you are protected.
So I love that you went there because even prepping for this episode, I didn't even think about that. The only thing I can remember, and women, please forgive me if you use them. I apologize. It is ugly. It's a super ugly thing. Like it's I when a man wants to have sex, he wants to appreciate the entire woman. He wants to appreciate her body, and I feel like an insertive condom just it it just covers up everything, right? Like, how many people are gonna opt for that? How
But how
many?
many people? How many people, though, real quick, are going to immediately opt for the non-insertive or the traditional condom?
True, true. That is true. Like, a lot of people aren't going to opt for. And the funny thing is that I've noticed that within media, specifically like movies, usually black movies are a little bit more realistic. Like they'll show that there is some condom use, or the morning after there is a rapper, or there's some incident where there is a condom. But we've been led to believe that condomless sex is very normal. As per movies, it's almost as if no one gets an STD, no one gets an STI. People probably just get pregnant and that's it. Like, it's never something that people seem to worry about in movies. And I feel like my generation and the generation that comes after me sees this in movies and think, well, I mean, this seems okay. I mean, they shouldn't get an STD. I don't see like her at the clinic, so why do I need to?
Well, see that, and urine provides the opportunity for choice in education, because condomless sex may be the case, and being frank, it always feels better to not have a barrier. Um, but it does feel pretty crappy when we got some chafing that we're not looking for, or dripping that we're not sure what's coming down the faucet because it ain't clear. And when we're seeing little peaks and valleys down below, look, genital warts are a real thing. HPV, so human papillomavirus, is a real thing. Gonorrhea is becoming increasingly harder to treat. Chlamydia is one of the leading sexually transmitted infections, impacting all communities, not just Black people. But yet still, we're not testing as frequently. We're not going to test as frequently. The community conversations of, hey, sexual clinic is down the street if you are interested in going. When old days of guidance classes in school, or going into the clinic at high school. Nowadays it's really hard. It's 2021, just in case for the archive folks, and we're still in a global pandemic. But sexual health clinics are available, and in Ontario, they're available in pretty much every health unit that's available. There's 34 health units, so there's a minimum of 34 sexual health clinics right across the province. Knowing where those places are and then going to get things addressed, that would make things a lot easier, a lot better, a lot more open to have conversations. There would be more open and honest conversations about condom use, or even not condom use. Using lubricant is a real thing, is a big deal. Like when we're talking about our sexual partners. Look, if we're going to be talking in the heteronormative, not everybody, look, not all women are you know slippy and slidey all the time. Okay, when we're talking about um, vaginal fluid, not all fluid runs the same consistency and not at the same frequency. But it's also lube is a great line of defense to prevent tears, little micro tears, um, in the penis and the vagina and the rectum. So
Mm.
if these are available technologies and available tools, and if we're not talking about them, and if they're being provided up to a few years ago, a lot more accessible, no charge, and willingly just available in many shapes, sizes, and varieties by taxpayer funded community health clinics and health
Hmm.
units, we should be taking them and talking about them a lot more. So we can just go to our neighbors if we don't have any, or in our respective communities, say, Grandma, can you lend me one or two? And she might be the nicest, sweetest lady, but she might be the one person that takes care of her whole community, because she might be saying, you know what, so over there, so over here, make sure you catch your little baggie here, because we don't need to populate any more any more anything in the community.
Wow.
All good things, all good vibes. But just speaking from an area of looking out for each other in our communities, we should be more open and willing to talk about those many bits of um, preventative measures,
Okay.
prevention of HIV, STIs, and even pregnancies.
So I want to take a very quick break because I love that point, and you mentioned so many things before. We're gonna get into it. We'll be right back.